This week, I'm going to talk to you about one of the most effective ways of building your audience and sharing ideas. In fact, as I've mentioned in many an episode before, this is how business is built, is about building connections and standing up and speaking in front of people, whether it's a keynote speech at a conference, whether it's contributing by being a panelist or being on a podcast like we have our guests here on this show, or appearing on YouTube, or in a presentation or in a meeting. There are a multitude of ways where actually speaking and using your voice is how you connect to other people, you persuade them, you influence them, and you get them to take action. Because at the end of the day, you have a mission or a vision for something that you want to create, that you want to build, and you want to grow, and you need people on board to do that. So you might need to share your idea for what your business is. You might need to get clients. You might need to attract your ideal employees so they are coming to you rather than you having to spend tons of money, thousands of pounds on recruiting the best people and then end up not finding them because you've not really communicated what you're about. It could be that you want investment and you're actually going to prove to someone that you are the person to drive your company forward, and you want to make that great impression. And you need to be able to be articulate and just share your ideas and who you are as a person and why you're trustworthy. And speaking is a great way to do that. We were born with the tools to communicate ideas. You clever thing. Your brains, your eyes, your face, your voice, your tone, everything, your hands even, it's all there to communicate to other human beings what you're about and what your intentions are. And even better, we're really special. Humans are incredibly special in that we can paint an idea of the future that does not yet exist. And that is something truly remarkable. And even better, we can paint that in our brains and our ideas. But you can do that for other people. And we have told stories in so many different ways to change people's ideas of what they think is possible, of what is of what they can achieve. We can inspire people to become something more than what they are, or actually help them believe in themselves and to create something. We can motivate people from afar. We can make people angry. We can make people love. We can make people feel. We can make people do. And that is the power really of what happens when you build your brand and you use your voice, is that we can make people take action. Now, this is what the advertising industry does so well, and they use behavioral science to do it. This is what, when we're presenting or investing, this is what people do so well. This is what salespeople do so well, is literally saying, I have this thing. Do you want to come? Do you want to come have the thing and give me something for the thing? And of course, there's an exchange of ideas. There's an exchange of trust. There's an exchange of, will I get this thing if you give me the thing? So what I'm going to do is tell you what really makes a 10 out of a keynote speech or a 10 out of 10 presentation, what works well, what doesn't. So what I'm going to look at now is what might be happening for you now. And if I'm on track, let me know, say it in the comments or send me a message, or, say, yeah, if you're going to get some head nods and yes, this is happening to me, equally let me know if I'm on the right track here. So number one is, some people go off in tangents. When they're presenting, they might go get an idea and go off. I do this, but I'm neurodiverse. I know that I speak to a lot of clients who are ADHD or have some sort of neurodiversity, and it means that you get little squirrels that go off in tangents. And many people do this because they think of things as they're talking, and it can take them off track. Now, that might be happening for you, or you might be feeling that you're not really getting your ideas out clearly. You're not really communicating what you want in the right way, and it's not having the right impact on the audience. And you can see it from their faces, or you can see it purely from the fact that you're not getting any comeback at all. Like, people are not coming to you and asking for more. They're not coming up to you and going, oh my God, that was amazing. Thank you so much. That changed me. You're not getting emails in your inbox, which, to be fair, even fantastic presenters, you do get emails, you get people coming up to you, but it's a bit like TripAdvisor. You have to really ask for it and seek it out. Some people do, but most of the time we have a great experience, don't we, of a restaurant meal out or a hotel or something, or a day out, and we don't put a great review. We don't go home and go, do you know what? That was really great. I had a great time. Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go onto TripAdvisor. I'm going to leave them a Google review. We don't really do it. We do, however, take strong action if we've had a bad experience. So this is the thing, even if you are an outstanding, you're going to have to ask. That's my squirrel tangent there. So that's one thing that might be happening for you right now. The other thing is that, as I said, the audience isn't taking any action. First of all, I use the word audience because that is literally anyone that you are sharing ideas with and you are having a relationship with and you're trying to transform them in some way. So whether you are standing up at a presentation, whether you are chairing a meeting at the board, whatever it is you are there with an audience and you're trying to get them to do something, whether that's make a decision, you're trying to impart information so they can make a decision, you're trying to take them on a journey so that they can change in some way after you have spoken. And that's what we really want to do. We want to speak so other people can change. And maybe you're not seeing that right now. And maybe you actually don't know what to do. Like when you're stood up there, you're feeling really uncomfortable. Maybe you're like, hey, what do I do with my hands? Or is there a better way that I should be convincing them or using my voice? Or are there any little tools or tips or tricks I can do while I'm speaking to get them to take action? And you're not sure how to maximize it. Maybe that's happening for you right now. And the thing is, if that continues, maybe nothing will happen, but maybe you won't be building solid relationships. Maybe you won't be building allies in terms of everyone in that room is going to go, yes, that's the person. They know what they're talking about. I want to hear more from them. Or nope, they've given me everything I need. Thank you for supporting me and making this decision. Maybe you won't get bigger and better opportunities. Maybe you won't be asked to speak on bigger stages or asked to contribute in panels or important conversations that shape your industry. And those things do happen when you do make an impact, when you speak. You do change people and it makes people see you in a whole new light. So this is what we're going to do. Have a look at the ways that you can change people, the way and little secrets and tips and tools. And I'm afraid they might not be quite what you're hoping for. They might not be what you think, but they are effective and they do work well. And every professional does this. So number one, what to do is, first of all, one of the mistakes I see people make a lot of the time is that they are approaching it in, this is what I think, and this is how I win the day. And that can lead to so many nerves and challenges when you're going up there. And if you're someone who gets real speaking anxiety, it's because your nervous system is thinking, I'm going to be under attack. I could be ostracized. Public speaking is one of the biggest fears, top 5 fears, in fact, along with spiders, heights, snakes, and death, and sometimes even more so than death. And the reason is very primal. And this, you've got to remember this, speaking is a very primal thing that we do when we communicate, because essentially it's like society, crowd mentality. We want to fit in because it actually is about our survival within society. So if we stand up and speak, we can be embarrassed and shamed and ostracized. And years ago, that would mean our untimely death would be kicked out of the nest and not welcome with warmed arms, and therefore you would die alone and horribly. That clearly is not going to happen to you, but your nervous system does not know that, just the same as if you see something that crawls or slithers, that it is epigenetically designed to have a response to it because it's trying to protect you, just the same as heights or anything like that. We have natural fears that are ingrained in our systems that are there to protect us. Sometimes they do it a little bit too well and they haven't really caught up with where we are in the evolutionary process. So this is what you need to do, is just simply retrain your responses to make sure that you know that you're safe, that you're protected. And sometimes this means that you are also thinking too much about what's going to happen to you on your journey. So here's an idea I'm going to share with you, is that everyone is on a hero's journey. Everyone is on their own journey to overcome and save the day, especially in business. If you're growing your business, you are overcoming challenges. You are a problem solver by nature. That is your job. That is what you're there to do. So this is where, though, when you're going into that situation of how am I going to save the day? What could happen to me if I fail? What are they going to think of me if I don't share my ideas, or I don't contribute, or I say something stupid, or I sound different? What is going to happen to me? And that takes, first of all, very brave. If you're going, actually, yeah, my hands up, I am sat there thinking about my journey and my hero's journey and what's going to happen to me. Of course you are. We all do. That's completely natural. But it's not helping. What does help, though, is if you think about the journey that your audience is on and think about how you can be the hero to them. So get rid of any me's that are coming up in your thought processes. And that means you've got to think about, well, what thoughts am I having before I go on stage or stand up and speak? What is happening in my brain? And that means that you can then flip it to, okay, what's happening for them? How can I transform them? What am I going to do to make sure that they get what they need? And that means you've got to ask hard questions about the journey that they are on. And the best speakers do this. They think about, right, at the very beginning, when they sit down in front of me, what do they want? Not me, what do they want? And if you're thinking, well, they just want to get out of the meeting, or they just want to get out of the presentation, then you're not really digging deep enough. And I invite you really to hard think, okay, what is it? They want more money? Do they just want answers? Do they want reassurance? What is it? Do they just want to feel I know what I'm talking about? Think about that for a second. And then you've got to take them from where they are at the start of the journey to the end of the journey, which is where they leave feeling that thing. So feeling reassured, feeling like they have more information, that they can make better decisions, feeling convinced of something. So that is what a great 10 out of 10 speaker does. They take their audience on a journey and they make it all about the audience. They make the audience the hero that overcomes and saves the day. They don't make it about how you can save the day. So even if you're, for instance, pitching for investment. Now, I remember I was a mentor on a AWS pitching day, and it was a really great fun day. We had all these tech guys who fantastic, really smart, incredible people who come up with these really complex problem-solving ideas. And so our job was that they had a couple of hours to practice their pitches, and then I got to choose who got to stand up in front of the investors and pitch their idea, and they could gain investment that day. So really interesting. And now the problem is when it's really, really complex information, and these guys, they had so many letters after their names with all the degrees and qualifications they had. They were seriously smart people. And the problem was, though, they're speaking in their own language about how they have solved this problem. And that is not what their solution or their SaaS product or whatever it is, their service was. The service is there to solve someone else's problem. Does this make sense? It's like Inception, the problem within the problem within the problem. So always speak about how you solve someone else's problem, not how you're solving your own problem. That makes sense. That's what the journey's there to do. And that's what's really, really successful. The other thing is speaking isn't about logic. Speaking is about logic and emotion and feeling something. So if you're just sharing data, and it could have been on a piece of paper, if it could have been in a spreadsheet or on a graph or something they could have read, then you have no job there. There's no point in you turning up to speak. There is absolutely no point. They could have picked up a book about it, or you could have written an email. If that's the case, then you failed. So a great speaker has to work on the feeling and making someone feel capable. and giving them that thing. So you need to think about that. How am I making them feel right now? And maybe someone needs to be provoked. Maybe, anger is a really powerful emotion as well. Maybe you need to make them feel calm and reassured because they're scared. And don't forget, anyone working with finance or data, it is an emotive subject because people don't want to feel shame. They don't want to feel embarrassed. They don't want to feel stupid. That's one of the big ones. They want to feel confident. They want to feel inspired. And they want to feel like they can do something. They want to feel empowered about it. That is your job up there. So anyone who does a 10 out of 10 like speech, that is what they do. They make the impossible possible. It's a bit like painting that picture that I was talking about. And that's the other thing that a really great speaker does is they build allies in the room. This is one of the best things I could ever say is one of the best things you can do is make sure you're doing whatever you can to build a relationship with the people before they sit down as well. You want to know that you've walked in there and done everything you can to make sure that you've got friends in the room, allies, because then they're powerful and you've got part of the room, even if there's a couple of people. If you've reached out to them online, if you've spoken to them, if they're signing up to something, then find out more about them. If it is a meeting or a boardroom, make sure you've had conversations prior to the event to make sure that you've learnt about them. I call this a kind of diagnostic checkpoint. You go in, you find out what is it they want, why are they going? Find out as much as you can. And then the more data you have, the more data driven you can be during your talk, the more impactful it will be because it is all about their needs, not yours. When you build allies as well, it's not just about before, it's about after. The whole point of that talk as well is that you are transforming people in that room to become fans of yours. Now, we also want to do the opposite. We also want to turn people away from you. Bear with me. We want people to like you and not like you. And sometimes you need to divide the room as well as own the room. And that's okay. So yes, you want to persuade people. Yes, you want to bring people on board. But if it's a big crowd, you don't want everyone. It's impossible. It'll be overwhelming. It's not going to feel like something that you can achieve. So don't focus on getting everyone to like you or be on your side. Focus on just the people that matter and build those allies. And because if you build relationships with those people, they will go on and they will leave that room talking about you and speaking about you as if you're the best thing ever. And they become your brand ambassadors. They become the people like a airborne virus that go and talk about you, talk about your ideas. And that's where the real value is in speaking, is not just transforming those people in the room, but actually creating something far wider than that audience because it spreads outwards. And that's when you've done really well. I did a conference earlier this year, and after I'd left, I did 3 talks in a day, and I got so many texts and WhatsApps. It was lovely because I got screenshots of them saying, I've just heard from someone. I asked them what was a really great speech from today's conference, and they said, oh, this woman was fantastic, and he showed me a picture of you. And I read this, and I thought, that is fantastic. And that is what you want. You want people to be talking about you in that way. And that's what I want for you as well. So make sure you're working on that transformation. The other thing is that this is about your ideas going airborne as much as your reputation. And the more that you can tell a story and shape it in a way and create little ways of creating memories for someone else or retellable stories, which is what the point of a story is saying it's like a fairy tale. Someone can say the story and then it can be retold in their own words, and then it travels. And that's what stories were actually designed for, is to travel across places, to go over continents, to go from village to village, to warn people or to share an idea. You want it to go airborne. And that is what you need to be able to do, is to tell a fantastic story. There is one of my favorite books at the moment is called How Confidence Works, by Ian Robertson. I think I said that right. And it talks about the science of confidence. And there's two areas to confidence. One is it's what you think you can do. So it's like, okay, I know I can brush my teeth twice a day. I know I can do that. Okay, so I am confident that that can happen. And then there's also confidence that if you do that, if I continue to brush my teeth, that I won't get cavities, for instance. So I feel confident that if I can do it, I can brush my teeth. And then if I do that action, then this can happen and something can change. It's the same as confidence. If I'm confident that if I can recycle, can it happen that I change the climate? You need those two things, what you can do and what then can happen if you do the things. And this is again what has been remarkable about human beings and is said in the book is that we have made things happen that do not yet exist because we've had the confidence to believe in it. For instance, flying to the moon, creating medicines or changes. Maybe we didn't know what it looked like, but if we persevered and did the things, then it could happen. And that is something that's really special about humans. We can see things and create things before they happen. And I love that phrase. Every chair that you sit in is someone's idea. You're sitting in someone's idea. This microphone was someone's idea. This camera was someone's idea. The headphones that you're maybe wearing to listen to this podcast is someone's idea. And that is how we have it. We need the idea, though, to go airborne so that it can really be adopted and created and believed and made into a possibility. So we need to first make people believe they can do it and also that it can happen. And really, that's what you want to do with a 10 out of 10 speech is share the ideas so that you're sparking the imagination and also then the confidence to see what can happen in the future. And if you stick to these ideas, if you take people on a journey, if you make them the hero of the story, if you make sure that you're not only sharing logic, but also sharing emotion and really concentrating on how you can make them feel, well, then you will have been an incredible speaker. And honestly, it is nothing to do with how well you use your hands. These are techniques to use, and there are right ways and wrong ways. And I can give you clues about that in a second. But it's about if you focus on those things, then the hand gestures, then the face, then the voice becomes so much more impactful and impassioned. And so if you really want to know what do you do with your hands, face, it starts with your brain. Your brain is in charge of all those things. But the main thing is you need to keep yourself calm and focused so that you are there to serve them as the hero rather than thinking of yourself and what's happening to you. You need to use your body with purpose. That means you have, as I said at the beginning, you have been built with the equipment to tell stories and to present well. So your hands, you need to use them with purpose. Move them in a way that emphasizes your point rather than distracts. Use your face in a way that emphasizes the emotions and your point rather than just kind of letting it run wild. Because I know sometimes my resting bitch face is really a resting bitch face. And so I have to make sure that I am communicating effectively so that I can help other people understand what it is I want them to understand. And also then with your voice is a musical instrument. So think of it that way. And we use it kind of wildly throughout the day. But if you train yourself to think, okay, what do I want it to convey? How can I use it like I would potentially play a musical instrument and play music? Like, what does the music need to say? Does it need to make them feel like it's an action movie? Does it need to make them feel sad? Does it need to get their attention? And that's the way you can use it. Because the words are just data. How you say it is where you really make an impact. So how you playing your voice. You can make it go lower or you can make it go higher. You can use your pitch. You can use your pace. You can speed it up or slow it down. Even better, and the most powerful thing, is when you don't say anything at all and you can feel truly confident and own the silence. Because really, the best 10 out of 10 speakers are the ones that can sit in silence and still know they own that stage. So if you practice anything, practice saying nothing, and you'll be a 10 out of 10 speaker.